The first AI animated feature film is coming next year, with an article from the LA Times speculating whether this will be AI's Toy Story moment. God, what an insult to everything Toy Story has achieved. But yes, this is apparently real. In a world where you have one group of people achieving this incredible thing, you have another one with a machine that's gonna start creating this incredible thing for us, so they say. And quite appropriately, this is coming out the same year as Toy Story 5, a movie that is set to be about technology replacing toys, which just seems to be becoming more timely by the day. I've always said in regards to the Toy Story 5 movie, it would be nice to see the animators vent some of their frustrations with AI superseding them through the story of that movie. I doubt it'll happen, but I can put some hopes into a story that, hey, is at least written by a human. But apparently up next, this AI-assisted feature film is called Critterz, with a Z, and is based on a 2023 short film of the same name that also used AI tools. And just to emphasize, this is a movie using shiny new technology, using Critterz with a Z unironically. Like, that's what I would write when I was a teenager. Hence, my username has Zs in it. Daz. Zs are pretty cool when you're in 2012. I can tell you that was one decision within this project that was definitely not made by an AI. I'm sure of that. It has out-of-touch 50-year-old still thinks it's 2000s written all over that one. But anyway, this will likely be an expansion of that short, which apparently satirized nature documentaries where fantastical woodland creatures rebel against their passive on-screen depictions. Now that does feel like an AI description if I've ever read one before. I can't even fully work out what that even means. Like, it feels like a story an AI would come up with, in the sense that it doesn't fully makes sense. Not to mention a potentially sinister angle of, these silly nature documentaries you humans make, let's spoof those in nonsensical ways. Let alone trying to depict a fictional version of nature with technology that is ideologically completely removed from it. But funnily enough, it looks like the AI has been mainly used for the animation itself, with the writers from Paddington in Peru coming on board. Great. The guys behind the only mid-Paddington movie are doing this. Now that sure fills me with hope. It makes sense though that there's British talent coming on board for this, as this project is a collaboration between UK company Vertigo Films and Native Foreign, a company that's specializes in AI storytelling. As for the critters themselves, they seem to be largely invented creatures as per the fantastical description. Something I didn't initially realize when I first saw this spider character and nothing else. From the other images that have been released, it kind of looks like an AI was asked to combine where the wild things are with the art style of the original Electric State illustrations. Which, to be fair, probably still adds up to a better project than the Electric State movie. Particularly this horned guy who looks like the Gruffalo wearing the skin of a polar bear. But to me, like, look at this. It just currently seems to be stuck with that fundamental uncanniness of AI art. Considering a lot of AI art still struggles to capture that authenticity we see in actual artwork, maybe they're going to be playing into that to create these creepy gothic characters. Maybe that could be the whole idea. Embrace the inherent flaws of this AI technology instead of trying to work against them. But also, no, this is going to be made by AI bros who think this is the next coming of everything. Clearly made too early in this AI race. But hey, it gets to be the first. Doesn't guarantee it's good though. In terms of what software they're using, the animation will be reportedly created with the tools from OpenAI. Yeah, okay, the generic one. We've got a quote here, in fact, that says, "There's been a lot of dabbling, but this shows a commitment from a large AI tool provider that this is possible," says Nick Kleverov, Chief Creative Officer of Native Foreign. I mean, is that really a creative officer though? Or should it really be Chief Prompt Writing Officer, you know? Who in the same interview said, "The last thing I want them to think about is AI." Oh, well, I'm sorry, I have some news for you, buddy. The PR's running off with it. He also goes on to say, "I know that AI will always be a topic, but I think we're going to see a revolution of independent cinema because you're going to be able to tell so many stories." Very interesting use of "your" when talking about software that removes you from the equation, but sure. Look, I think there can be good intentions here, but it does just feel like what starts on the indie level will soon change into big studios doubling down on the technology to pay even less people. Considering this production didn't really need a production team, this thing has been made with less than $30 million, which is probably the thing that will perk the major studio's interest, particularly as this article pairs that information with Hundreds of people are typically involved with an animated film, and budgets can be as high as $150 million to $200 million if it's primarily produced in the US. A comparison seemingly made as if it's a bad thing? Basically just outright saying, paying hundreds of people is an issue and we've found the solution. Like, I get it, it's a lot of money, but those figures represent people getting paid to work on movies, whilst that 30 million represents saving money that the studio had anyway, so that executives could just save for themselves. Now those pesky humans who want to get paid are gone. Considering how badly treated animators and production houses have been in the industry these past years, it only seems to be the final step for the big corporations to get rid of their jobs altogether. And this here is the stepping stone for that. If this really is AI's Toy Story moment, then who's to say we'll see with typical human-made animation what we saw with hand-drawn animation back in the 2000s. Except when those animators lose their jobs this time, it's not going to be a new generation of animators finding employment, it's just going to be a couple of warehouses worth of cables and wires. Apparently for this project, there are artists on board creating the initial animation and designs, but then that's gonna be fed into the AI as a sort of storyboard. They do have some interesting humans involved though. In addition to the writers of the reigning worst Paddington movie, they've also brought on someone who was involved in the original Space Jam. Bringing out the real dream team, aren't we? But to be fair, the animation in Space Jam is probably the best thing about it. I just wonder if that's even worth highlighting when clearly this guy is gonna be leaving the bulk of the work to a hard drive and some data. I mean, I'm sure Space Jam makes up a notable chunk of the data being fed into this AI in the first place. So no, I do not see this as a milestone or some kind of achievement like Toy Story was. That was a movie that revolutionized the industry in a way that created a whole new wave of jobs and showcased genuine human expression and art. Sure, I guess there was a generation of animators that also lost their jobs at that time due to that. However, with all the animation and visual effects houses that opened up in the subsequent decades, I'd argue that a lot more work was created by the era of CGI. By computers in general, which ironically is also what led us to this breakthrough with AI. The employment explosion of the computer age is now starting to reverse into an implosion. That said, I don't think that's the intention of the people involved with this project. From this article, they do seem genuinely curious about what they can do with this cool new tool. I'm just saying that's where the outcome of this project and others like it likely will take us. It also makes sense that they brought on actual artists and animators to inform the software, considering all the lawsuits that are currently ongoing for copyright infringement with major studios. Warner Brothers, Disney, and Universal have all filed copyright infringement lawsuits against AI company Midjourney for using their property to inform AI software. So it at least seems like native foreign won't fall into those legal hurdles. Not that that will be a hurdle for long, as AI becomes more advanced by the day, and pretty soon it'll be able to rearrange that information to a degree that you won't be able to prove any of the information it's used anymore. But it is going to be interesting to see how this new AI movie pushes the future of animation and movie making in general. Will animators and creators be going the way of factory workers? How far will the big corporations push their involvement with AI in the coming years, and how are they going to do that whilst maybe hypocritically suing others over their use of it? It very much is the Wild West era of AI right now, with not much solid legislation around what you can and cannot do, which, judging by how similarly has gone down with social media, we might want to do that sooner or later. All I know is that comparing this to Toy Story is nothing short of insulting, even if it has been almost 30 years since the start of the CGI era. But at least for now, that's all I have to say on the matter. My name's been Daz. Thank you very much for reaching the end of this video. Do tell me your thoughts on an AI movie. Would you see it? I'm going to keep tabs on it, but otherwise try not to financially support it. It'll be very interesting to see how that does in box office results, but also it's a UK project, so it kind of flops in animation anyway. That's a blessing. We'll just have to see where it goes from there. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts and more regarding this project, but otherwise, I shall see you all in a little bit. Cheerio!